Good afternoon, and we are with the Championship once again. Let's have a look. We're on 92 minutes. We're on the 1st of January 2024. The first of the game's on the way, and it's 92 minutes gone, and it's Sunderland 2 and Preston 0, 10 minutes and 44 minutes. That's really quite a decent comeback. I expected Sunderland to do quite well. Drawing against Rotherham was probably the kick they needed to get back on track. Preston, and they're in an odd place at the minute. They've done so well for the first part of the season, so well for the first few months, and then they've just, I want to say I had a hiccup, but I just think that they've been found out, and people or teams have decided that they know how to not beat them as much as hold them off and stop them from playing football. So that's what I think's been happening. People have managed to work out how to stop them playing football, which they've been playing really well. Been playing good football. My team is Rotherham United. I meant to put the scarf up. Never mind. Do that for the next one. We have the next team we're going to look at is actually Rotherham United. So it's Blackburn, Rotherham United. This is an interesting one because if you actually look at the stats, the last 4 games have been defeats for Blackburn. Away, home, and away. So it's 3 aways though. So 3 aways and 1 home, and the home before that was a win against Bristol City. So that actually, to me, suggests that that they aren't as bad at home, especially when you look at the fact that at home they lost, but they lost against Watford 2-1. So it's not as if they don't score at home. And you look at the number of goals they do score in the last 6, they've scored 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, 2. Come up against a team with a good defence, and they seem to just not be able to get past it at the minute, or they've all worked out how to get them to stop playing. It was like that when they played Rotherham last year, and I do believe we beat them at Rotherham. But it was a concise victory, a really good victory, and they're a team that they try and play one way, and they don't seem to be able to stop, realize it's not working, and then change the style of play for that particular game. And that's where they got caught out with us. And I think they're actually getting caught out like that far too often at the minute. That said, they are playing my team, Rotherham United. They've got a good chance of winning. But then you think Rotherham have got a new manager. The first real game that he had was Leicester 3-0 defeat away. We really played a lot better than 3-0 defeat. We really did. Then we've started to change things. 1-0 at home win to Borough. 1-1 to Sunderland. We were ahead on that one, so really disappointed we didn't win that one. We're getting more shots. We are getting more shots. I think as long as we can keep going with the shots, I think this there's a good chance that our record, which is, I think it's about, where would it be? To be about 15 months without a win away from home. So it's well over a year. Could this be the time that Rotherham win away from home? I'm going to say yes. I'm actually going to say yes, guys. I don't know why I'm saying that. I think I've even put a bet on. So there we are. I've put your money where your mouth is, the wife would say when she was alive. Um, so I've gone for a Rotherham win. Don't think it's going to be. I think both sides will score. 2-1. I can't see it being 3-2. It's 2-1 or 2-2, but I think I'm going to go for 2-1. Then we've got Bristol City versus Millwall. Bristol City versus Millwall. So we're on up to the Bristol City versus Millwall. We go for the stats. Now, Millwall, I would say they've started playing a little bit better now. They've gone through a period where they were playing not very well at home, and they were playing quite well away from home. And then they've just suddenly been hit by a really bad period away from home. So a defeat away at Cardiff, a defeat only just 3-2 away at Leicester, which shows how well they can play. And then the next away game was a couple of games later on December the 23rd. A 0-0 away at Stoke, which is not very good. So I think, all in all, that they've been doing this. I'd actually say a Bristol City going up and down, playing well one minute like they did against Leicester, and then playing absolutely garbage against Stoke, where they really should have cleared them off the pitch, even though it was away from home. And then all of a sudden they beat QPR at home 2-0, which you would expect. 1-0 at home against Norwich. I don't rate Norwich. They can be really good. They can be really garbage. A lot of the time I've seen them, they've played pretty average league. Well, I'm not going to say League One, Championship, mid-table Championship football. I don't really rate their style of play. It just happens to beat enough teams to keep them up in the top half of the table. I'm going to go for, because Bristol City, they're very much, like I said, they blow hot and cold. They always have done. I don't know how the fans put up with it. They've settled down an awful lot, and I think Bristol City at home will win this one. I mean, they scored 4 away at Watford. The week before that, they scored 3 at home to Hull, and you have to think that they can score if they need to. They may need to today. I think it's going to be a high-scoring game, 3-2, 3-1. I think it's going to be a Bristol City win. Leeds versus Birmingham. I think there's only one winner here. I'm going to go for Leeds. I just don't see the stats shouting out to me that Leeds are going to. I mean, yeah, okay, Leeds have had a bit of a blip. They only won out of their last 5 games, and that was against Ipswich. And then you think, well, hang on a minute, surely the Ipswich should have been the hard one. Yeah, draw against Coventry and then win against Ipswich. Lose against Preston the week after. And only lose 1-0 against West Brom, who were flying high. There's a lot of teams that are playing really well one week and they're really crap the next. But I think Leeds will have enough here. I really do. Birmingham have been extremely good in defence, I think, and I mean really, really solid in defence. Can Leeds get more than one? I just can't see it. I think it's going to be a 1-0 win to Leeds. Then Leicester versus Huddersfield. I think At the minute, the teams that go to Huddersfield that don't do very well or don't do as well as they think they're going to do are the teams that exactly do that. They go there and they think they're going to get a really easy game because it's Huddersfield near the bottom of the table. Of course, we're going to win. Of course, it's going to be a walkover. Huddersfield love those games. Warner instilled it in them to be just 10 man at the back, and if we can belt down the wing at some point and get a goal, we'll then come back and put 10 men behind the ball again and we'll win 1-0. I don't think they'll win 1-0. I'm going to go for 1-1. I'm going for a draw. I'm going to go for a Leicester City to get totally and utterly annoyed by Huddersfield, frustrated by Huddersfield to frustrate them enough to score, and then Leicester to do what they did at Rotherham, where they played poorly, and then all of a sudden they realise they've got to do something. Then they'll shut up shop, and they'll just grind out a goal for themselves. But I think it'll be 1-1. Borough Coventry. What can you say about Borough? Lose against Rotherham, win by hook or by crook against Huddersfield, but apparently they really should have been a draw by all intents and purposes. I actually thought Huddersfield were going to win. We're going to win Borough, and in the end, Borough managed to sneak a win. I think that it's going to be difficult against a team that has turned from being one of the poorest form teams in the division to being one of the top ones within a few games. The last 6 games are the games that they've turned it around. A win, a draw, a win, a draw. Before that, they did dreadful. And they were in 20th position after losing to Rotherham. And they sort of looking around, well, we're not going to go down. We've got 2 good players. And that sort of nonchalant, fan base thought just peed me off. But they were right, and they've managed to pull back quite well. I'm going to go for a Coventry win. I'm going to go for Coventry to actually keep up this attack back onto the top flight, and I just cannot see how a Borough side that played so badly at Rotherham, and I do think they played badly. They had all the play, but if you're not going to score and you're not really going to create chances where you actually hit the target, it doesn't matter if you have 80% of the play. I'm sorry, guys, it doesn't. It doesn't mean that you're playing good football. It means that you're playing great possession, but doing bugger all with it. I think when Coventry have the ball, they do something with it. They're a team that can play against teams like Middlesbrough that keep the ball 80% of the time but do nothing with it. Coventry 2-0 away to Middlesbrough. Norwich City, Southampton. I'm going to go with a 1-1 draw. I'm not that keen on Norwich. I don't think they play very good football. I think that at the minute it shows that they're only 13th. I think that Southampton are definitely on a roll. Definitely on a roll. I think that they will at some point slow down. Hopefully. I think that Norwich have had those last 2 defeats and a draw in the last 4, and I think that they'll be wanting to turn this around, especially at home. They've had 2 defeats away from home Yeah, the last home match was against Huddersfield, which was only 2-0. And I don't think that was particularly. I think the clean sheet was more by luck than judgment. But I'll go for a 1-1 draw. Winds the clock back for Southampton by a couple of weeks, doesn't it? Plymouth versus Watford. I got Plymouth versus Watford. We must be getting close to the time now. So Plymouth versus Watford. Try and quicken this up. Plymouth not been doing very well. Having said that, they're extremely good at home. The last 6 games, actually, I don't know. The last 6 games, they've only played 2 at home, which is really sad, isn't it? 1 a 3-2 win against Rotherham, 1 a 3-3 draw against Birmingham. And I tell you what, if you went back further than this, at home, they are often scoring 2 or 3. So although Watford can score 4 or 5 and have scored 4 or 5 on several occasions this year already, I know because they scored 5 against Rotherham, scored 5 against Preston, scored. I'm sure they scored another 4 at some point. So they're doing really well. Number of goals in the box this time, which they didn't do last time they were in the Championship. I think that they're going to be a tough cookie to beat, but I think that Plymouth are an extremely tough cookie to beat at home. I'm going to go for a 3-3 draw. I'm going to go for a 3-3 draw. Plymouth 3, Watford 3. QPR Cardiff. QPR have been turning it around quite well. They've been playing really, really good defensive football. Really good. I mean, Millwall managed to break them down and suddenly got a second one. It was like, how have they managed it? QPR were 0-0 for so long. They only lost 1-0 at home to Southampton. And you're thinking, yeah, they're certainly they certainly brilliantly turned around that defence. Whereas Cardiff, up and down. When they lose, they can lose by sort of 2 or 3 goals, and it's really rather. I don't know. They just it just seems to be sort of mid-table style results in football that we're seeing from Cardiff, and it doesn't seem to be away or home orientated to me. I'm not really, certainly not recently, seeing anything massively. They're hugely better at home, or they're hugely better away. I think we're going to see. This may be a draw as well. I hate to say it because I like to be able to bet on things like this, at a home team, away team, but it's difficult to bet on draws because it's so easily for the one team to score that one extra goal in the 90th minute, and it's finished. It's a win for one of the sides. I'm going to go for a draw. If it isn't a draw, I mean, let's just say which team would I choose? I'd probably choose Cardiff. I'd probably just about choose Cardiff. I think they can score enough to be able to get past that staunch defence. Stoke, Ipswich. I actually think Stoke City will win this. I actually think that the bubble has burst for Ipswich, and just at the point where Stoke have been picking it up and starting to move away back up the table again, I think it's going to be a 2-0 win to Stoke City. Swansea versus West Brom. I need to say Boreham Wood then. Swansea versus where have they been relegated to? Swansea versus West Brom. We have got, West Brom 1-0 win at home to Leeds, 1-0 win at home to Norwich. Norwich. But then, which should have been more than that against Norwich. And then they lost 1-0 away to Borough. And Borough have been playing awful recently. But then Swansea, they drew 2-2 against a Coventry team that started playing really well. Slaughtered against Southampton, but Southampton have been on a roll. They too lost 2-1 against Borough. So, So they've been up and down as well. They, I think it's going to be a close game. I think it's going to be West Brom, to be honest. I think West Brom can take solace in those last 2 wins and try and just push that forward. I think they will be a lot more on top of their game and they'll be feeling a lot more better about themselves. Sheffield Wednesday versus Hull. Now, Hull City won Blackburn 3-2, having had that chance to make Blackburn lose yet another game. But they let 2 goals in against a team that aren't doing very well. I don't know. So how many goals are Hull scoring? 0, 2, 3, 2, 0, 3. It's up and down, isn't it? And they're not playing vastly super or dreadful teams at the time that they play them. So it's really odd. It's hard to see why do they get 1 or 2 weeks where they score really well and free and easy, and then others where they don't. They scored 2 against Bristol City away, but they lost 3-2. It just doesn't seem to make any sense. So they can score freely. Sheffield Wednesday, when they let them in, tend to collapse. I'm going to go for a 3-1 win to Hull City, and I'm going to go that Sheffield Wednesday actually take the lead, and that late on you'll get an equaliser from Hull City, and then the usual from Sheffield Wednesday. They'll just collapse in the second half. It'll either be a 3-1 win, or they'll shut up shop. Sheffield will shut up shop after getting into the lead and try and get away with a 1-0 win, which is not likely against Hull, but anything can happen in football. Let's just go back to the game that's finished. The Sunderland has in fact finished 2-0 to Sunderland. That leaves Sunderland, and we go to the table, in 6th place on 40 points. The only team to be on 26 games. It's the football messages starting to come from the AFL. Preston are in 11th on 35. They've got 3 teams below them on 34. Cardiff, Norwich and Coventry, all of which could win. And you have Blackburn underneath them in 15th, which is rather strange, because if Blackburn were to lose today, they're still miles above. Just like I said, that middle table was going to be hugely above the bottom 4. Only it appears to be that the middle table are actually going to be hugely above the bottom 3. And then you've got the top are sort of racing away with it. I said the top 4. and I don't think I'm that far away from that. So you got Sunderland just playing for fifth and sixth place. I think realistically, you've got Preston, who are now solidly mid-table. They're not going to go anywhere after that. I mean, 26, 35 points from 26. You'd expect them to be finishing with a reasonable chance of getting sixth place. I think they're going to be within a stone's throw of it, but could they? I think had they won today, I might have been thinking differently. But now that they've won, they've lost 2-0. I think that was a game they really needed to show people that they could actually win. A standard team that's come up from League One and bolstered their team with £10 million players. They need to be able to play those and win them because the depth isn't that great. Because although they've got a huge amount of fan base, massive club, they can only spend a certain amount. So the depth of squad isn't as deep as teams such as Leicester City and Leeds United. So they'll get there. They'll get there. I'm sure that Sunderland will go up at some point in the next couple of years, but we'll have to see which year it is. Maybe this year. Who knows? So that's my take on today. It's now quite late, so 13 minutes to the game. So we'll just have a quick look at my team. Oh, that's interesting. He's took Hugill from the front and put Tom Eaves in, which is wow, Eaves and Nombe up front. Perhaps he won't score. Rathbone, Christ, and Sam Clucas in midfield, and at the back, Lembikisa, Adolfin, Morrison, Revan, and Cohen Bramall. Cohen Bramall likes to get forward, so hopefully we'll see a little bit more pushing forward. It does appear to be a sort of 5-3-2 come 3-5-2. So there we have it, guys. I wish you all luck, and I'll perhaps see you for we'll have a talk along at some point. I think next Saturday we may go for a bit of a watch along with the cup games. So I'll see you then.